It happened in the space of a heartbeat. The man's fist slammed against the table, rattling the silverware. His voice sliced through the quiet cafe like a blade. "You don't belong here, old man. People like you. You're just a relic. Move along." The veteran didn't flinch. He sat alone, weathered hands trembling as he folded his napkin, his war medals pinned proudly to his faded jacket. The rest of the cafe sat in stifled silence. No one spoke. No one moved, except her. Clara's chair scraped back sharply against the floor. Her heart pounded in her chest, but her feet moved before her fear could stop them. She couldn't let this stand. Not today. Not to him. "You don't talk to him like that," she said, her voice steady but cold. "He fought for you. You owe him your respect." The man's eyes narrowed, his mouth twisting into a sneer. "And what are you going to do, sweetheart?" "Huh?" The room held its breath. No one came to her side. No one stood behind her when his hand moved towards his pocket. It was already too late. A sharp sting. A flash of cold steel. And then Clara staggered, clutching her side as warm blood seeped between her fingers. She collapsed to her knees, her vision dimming, but she didn't regret it. She had stood when no one else would. The veteran rose then. Slowly, his cane forgotten by his chair. His voice, when he finally spoke, was like distant thunder. "She showed more courage in 1 minute than you ever will." The man fled. Cowardice had a way of fleeing the gaze of the righteous. And still, the room remained silent. One called for help. No one moved, until the veteran knelt beside her, gripping her hand with surprising strength. "Stay with me, kid. I've seen too many fall. Not today." Clara's world faded into darkness. Clara awoke in a sterile hospital room, the sharp tang of antiseptic filling her senses. A bouquet of white lilies sat on the table, their petals soft and fresh, their scent gentle against the chemical air. Beside them, a letter. Heavy paper, sealed in gold. Her hand trembled as she unfolded it. The letterhead bore the seal of the President of the United States. "You showed uncommon courage. It is the honor of this nation to invite you to the Presidential Valor Ceremony. We do not forget our heroes. We honor those who stand when others sit." Clara blinked, disbelieving. A soft knock came at the door. The veteran entered, walking tall, despite the cane in his hand. His uniform was pressed, his medals gleaming under the fluorescent lights. "You didn't have to do what you did," he said quietly, settling into the chair beside her. "But you did it anyway. You reminded me that not all battles are fought on foreign soil. Some are right here. Some are fought with a voice." His eyes glistened, though no tears fell. Men like him carried their grief in silence. "I wore this uniform for 30 years, he continued. "Saw men fall who never came home. But you," his voice faltered, "you fought in a moment where most would have turned their heads. That's not something you forget." She wanted to speak, to thank him, to say it had been instinct. But the lump in her throat held her silent. "The president doesn't shake many hands these days," he added with a faint smile. "But he'll be shaking yours." When Clara was discharged, she stepped into a world that now looked at her differently. The video of her standing up, of her falling, had gone viral. The man who attacked her had been arrested, his face blasted across every screen. But it wasn't justice through outrage that mattered. It was the quiet ones, the silent veterans, the families who sent letters, the strangers who placed their hands over their hearts as she walked by. That told her the real story. She didn't need applause. She never wanted it. But the day she stood on that grand stage, the president clasped her hand, looked her in the eye, and said words that stayed etched in her soul. "Some heroes wear uniforms. Others wear courage like skin." The room of dignitaries rose as one, silent, hand over heart. It wasn't loud. It wasn't grand. But it was enough, because sometimes the loudest form of respect is silence. And as Clara stood there, her scars beneath her dress, the veteran watching her from the front row, she realized that true honor isn't something you seek, it's something you become. If this story touched you, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. What would you have done in Clara's place? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that honor the silent heroes among us.